So now this is series or episode 8, series 1, and we are on the last verses 20 to 31 of 2nd Nephi 1, and you can see why sometimes they break these down. Even with just 10 verses, you've got quite a lot that you can talk about and think about when you read the scriptures like these ones. So it's always good to, have your scripture study more in time limits or something like that, rather than having it as, I've got to finish this the whole chapter or something like that. I'm, of course, doing it in blocks of the thing on my, because then I can make sure I'm covering everything. But often when I'm reading the scriptures, it doesn't matter how many verses I cover, but it's more what I'm studying. And of course, these 10 verses I've spent some time looking at and thinking about. I like, he's still talking to Laman and Lemuel, and he mentioned Sam here as well, but specifically he's talking to Laman and Lemuel, and you can still hear that parental desire of his. He says, "Arise and from the dust, my sons, and be men, and be determined in one mind and one heart, and united in all things." And he goes further on and says, "Awake, my sons, put on the armor of righteousness, shake off the chains which are bound, and come forth out of obscurity and arise from the dust." That scripture always makes me think of the armor of righteousness that Paul talks about, and then is brought up in the Doctrine and Covenants as well. And to think of the different elements of the armor. And there was a professor I had for my missionary prep class at BYU. I believe his name was Halverson, and he had written a book called The Armor of God, and I'd read it before I'd even signed up for his class. I got in his class, and he was surprised to have somebody that had read his book. So it was fun. But it was really good. It gave me some real insights about the armor of righteousness, and maybe I'll cover that some other time. But it was something that really I've thought of over the years, and where I am in each of the different areas of my life and things. So this always reminds me of that, and of course he doesn't describe it further here, but I do sometimes think that. And then he goes on and tells his brothers to be kind to their younger brother, and tells them about that it was the power of God that was within Nephi, even to the commanding them that they must obey, meaning, like, think about when they did the ship and things like that. And then he goes on just the last couple of verses about Zoram. We haven't really talked about Zoram very much since they picked him up on the way out of Jerusalem, but he's been there, and he's been, he says, I know that thou art a true friend unto my son Nephi forever. And then he does something that he's already done just a few verses before. He reiterates that promise. Wherefore, because thou hast been faithful, thy seed shall be blessed with his seed, and they shall dwell in prosperity upon the face of the land, and nothing shall save it shall be iniquity among them, shall harm or disturb their prosperity upon the face of this land. Wherefore, if ye shall keep the commandments of the Lord hath consecrated this land for the security of thy seed with the seed of my son. So he's given that promise again. If you keep the commandments, then you will prosper in the land. And so twice in this chapter, he's said, keep the commandments and you will prosper, you will be fine. And I believe that. I believe it strongly. What we always do, and if you're more experience have in the church, or in the gospel, I should say, you know that when it says prosper, it doesn't mean that you're going to have everything easy or handed to you, or that you won't go through trials and troubles. But the difference between facing something, a trial, while keeping the commandments, and facing a trial while listening to the world is two different things. I've seen people do it both ways, and I've seen that those that keep the commandments always are better off in the end. And that's where I'll leave it today, and have a good rest of the day.